that pile, staying in his gap. It's creating a big pile of butt. Yeah, we didn't see that. We probably ran that 4 times this last year. Wide. Now, same as our base look. Same as our base look. The exception is our defensive ends are now going to be lined up at a 5. And after talking about it for a while, we're probably going to do more of this next year. Just puts us in a better situation, I think, up front to be in 5s. We're still going to be doing a lot of our, same blitzes, that whole routine. But we lined up more wide, especially in our money package, where we knew it was a pass it down, we could get outside, and if we're going outside, put them at a better advantage to just work an edge. Our nose guard is still going to stay up at a straight 0, and our linebackers are going to be staying stacked on the tackles now at 40, 10, and 40. And according to what's going on with our dogs, that's where they'll be lined up. Yeah, we didn't line up wide too much. This is nothing against, it was just miscommunication at the airport, but let's just fast forward here. Just show you guys alignment. We're going to be a little wider here. Be a little wider in our front, 5-0-5.
That was good for us.
They helped us out. So we drew it up. 5-0-5 again. We're going to be wide here. We'll be widening up a little bit. And again, if it's a down and distance type thing where we know it's a for sure pass, heck, I'm going to let our athletes be athletes and get wide and just put them out there, let them run. Okay, that's our fronts, guys. Those are our fronts. Any questions on that before we move on to our movements? Yeah, as you can see, sir.
Can you talk a little bit about the difference between the bat and the dog and how you train that bat to walk up on the line and play that edge as well?
Yeah, when Coach Osler gets up here, he'll definitely reiterate and speak for a whole lot more than I probably can on it, but it's basically based on the guy. It's based on the guy. Here, we already know who's going to be the down bat. Josh Dickerson, for the majority, was our backer that walked up, and then also Tony Strader came up. It's kind of like the thicker guy, you want to say, right? But all of our guys could do it. All of our guys were practiced up on it, but it's basically a personnel thing. Our movements, guys, it's very simple up front what we do. It's very, very simple up front. I'm speaking for defensive linemen, we're definitely not the brightest guys on the team. So the easier we can keep it, I think the better we will be up front. The less we have to think about anything, the better. And you'll see what we're talking about here. Jacks. Jacks refers to the defensive ends. Okay? It's a C-gap charge. Okay? It's a C-gap charge. Now, there will be a little difference in the rule if we're in a solid look. And we're in a 3 technique and we run jacks, we're going to be a B-gap player. Basically our outside gap. It's going to be a basic charge for them. If we're in our Tampa 3 look, maybe our money we'll call jacks. Okay, our nose we'll 2-gap the center, and our ends will be playing outside contained quarterback rush players. Okay? Ends will perform jacks when there is a strong and weak pressure called. Whenever they hear strong and weak, for instance, Mike Strong, Green, okay? When these guys hear strong, they know that they have to run a jacks. They're going to be in their 4s running C-gap charges. And we're going to get into responsibilities in the second half of the day here. But, whenever you're a C-gap player in our defense, you have to be a contained player. When we're running outside, we have blitzers coming inside. Okay, we have blitzers coming inside. Michael Lemon here does a great job. He gets 45 vertical, works his man, half a man. The receiver's trying to come down and crack. We have great run support from our corner right there, helping us come out to the edge and helping with contain. Here's Jax again. Outside. Outside here. Sir. You know, he always wanted to come back inside. He worked on it. He didn't do a poor job. It was still a minus, but the main thing is you have to keep contained. You have to keep contained.
Your Jax, does your nose go strong all the time?
No, it's according to what blitz we run. He always goes opposite of the call. So if we have a Bob strong, he's going to go weak A gap. If we go Bob weak, he's going to go strong A gap. Our nose guard always moves opposite of the blitz call. So right here we had this is Bob Strong. It's just a way to easily communicate with our guys, with our ends. You know, we got a jack step, what'd you do in the jacks, that kind of deal. It's kind of a universal call for C gap or outside gap charge. And we'll talk about responsibilities afterward. We are still contained players. When we're outside, we're box players. We want to attack cage on cage, keep our outside free, force of the running back inside. Okay. Slant and whip. Slant and whip. Between slant and whip and strong and weak, that's about 90% of our calls up front. Our line is going to hear buck slant, okay, the blitz, and then our movement up front, okay? So for instance, buck slant is going to tell our defensive line that they're going to be slanting to the strength. S. Slant, strength, okay? All three defensive linemen are slant to the strong side. We have a rip call here. Our end will be C gap, strong A, and B gap players, okay? Whip. All three defensive linemen are slanted to the weak side. Here, whip, okay? Weak side. Very simple for our guys up front. Occasionally they're going to mess it up, but for the most part, it's pretty simple. S and W, strong and weak. Now, a whip call, we have a rip call here. So we have a a whip, C gap, weak A gap, and now we're coming down to the B gap. Because we'll talk about a little more too. Our slant and whip is different from our strong and weak. If we have a slant call, we have a weak side blitz. If we have a whip call, we have a strong side blitz. Because once we're going to cover all that kind of stuff. Okay. Okay, here we go. We're going to have a slant with a rip call here. Our defensive end is going to be responsible for outside contain. Our nose guard is going to be going to the strong A. And our weak side end is going to be coming down to the B gap. Same rules apply. You're a C gap player, you have to get contained. Versus the reverse, versus whatever. You're the last man on the last scrimmage, you have to play it. Force them back inside. Our aiming point up front when we slant, what we try to do is work on, we're crossing the man half a man, okay? I know a lot of people teach, aim for the hip, that kind of thing. What we teach is a 45 vertical step, which we'll cover in our fundamental section afterward. But is not really a specific aiming point. If we're running a 45 vert and he gives us a zone outside, I still want to work half a man. So my outside leg is half a man outside of him. And I'm following through with a big vertical rip, with a big rip. You're going to see in our stances, we're not flat back. Our butts are up high. Again, because we're not reading the man in front of us. We want to get in our gap the fastest way possible. In the fastest way possible. It's a 45 vertical step. Our first step is going to work half a man outside. So if he comes down and I'm trying to cross his face, my first step is going to be half a man outside of him. Okay? We have a slant right here. Bat's coming outside. He's coming inside the B gap. He's working his A gap. Nose or end right here is keep contained outside.
Coach, what if you get a motion that changes your strength?
Well,
How do you?
we tried talking about changing the blitz over and doing all this kind of stuff. We said, forget about it. We're staying with it. We're going to run it. We're going to run it. You know, one thing we try to do when I first came up there, and before Coach Mancho was coordinator, I guess we had a whole bunch of blitzes. We kind of had to cut some back because they weren't as sound as we'd like. So in case that did happen, where someone motioned the strength or whatever happened, we'd still be fine on the backside of it. So there were some things that worked when we first got up there and things that didn't work. We kind of had to clean it up a little bit. See right here, our nose guard right now is working in the A gap. He gets pressure, or he gets blocked by two guys. Just keep on getting penetration, finding an air. Our defensive end right here does a great job with a club and rip right here, getting outside, boom, redirecting, coming back inside, helping out on the sack. Okay, strong and weak. Again, going back to jacks. Whenever our ends here strong and weak, they have automatic jacks outside. They are C-gap players. Now, the only difference is for a nose guard, he's going to have to move opposite. Because unlike slant and whip, if we have a slant called, it's a weak side blitz. When we have a Mike Strong, it's a strong side blitz. Okay, or a Bob Strong, or Hurricane Strong. Whichever type of blitz we have, that's where the blitz is coming from, okay? So our nose is going to have to move opposite of there. So if our defensive nose guard was here, Hurricane Strong, he knows that he has to work weak A gap. Weak A gap. And our ends, super easy for them. When they hear strong and weak, boom, C gap players. They know automatic jacks. See here, we got a Mike blitz going on. We have Mike Strong. Okay, it's telling our Mike linebacker that he's going strong A gap. Our nose guard now has to get in the weak A gap. Our defensive ends are C gap players. They're automatic jacks. Rules apply. He does a great job here. I'd like for him to disengage up here, but he's securing that outside, forcing everything back in. That's what we want out of him. You can see right here too, they line up a little bit wider. Valdosta State, their JV team threw the ball the whole bunch. Play a little loose. His defensive end right here has to check for quarterback, make sure he doesn't pull. When he sees the ball released, he goes and follows. Strong and weak. Usually what we see when a guy's pulling is going to have a I'm back block, or if a quarterback's keeping it, he's going to come in and fill. They must have some type of miscommunication. Helped us out up front. Working on a 45 vertical up front. Not very good on the rip, but keep his pad square and making a play. Our nose guard right here is working in his A gap. We have jacks outside. This is what we were talking about in the beginning. Versus the run, we're going to get into responsibilities afterward, but versus the run, we have to be C-gap players. We have to be, okay? Our defensive end has to be able to recognize between a max protect and a drive block out of the tight end. When he recognizes run, he has to stay in there, turn his hips, get skinny, drive his feet. He has to maintain that C-gap. The reason is we have this dog out here to help out with contain. Versus pass, he's bailing out. Most of the time. He's bailing out, helping out with coverage. So it's going to be a late contain, as we call it up front. He'll be a late contain player. He's probably run his steps a little flatter, but he'll get there. Here's a better look from the end zone. Nose guard does a great job getting in his gap, getting vertical. Okay, big stick. Another movement. We never call it. It's already built into the blitzes that we run. Whenever we have a type of blitz where we have maybe a bat and a dog coming outside, you know, Cyclone, for instance, our dog will come outside the C-gap. Our bat right here will be working in